This week, it kind of like we've talked about before, it doesn't appear at first glance to be just a thrilling week, but that's when fun things happen. That's when crazy stuff happens. We'll go through it a little bit. Thursday night, I wrote down this one game. Utah is at Washington State. Just interesting because Utah is
Mhm.
a ranked team.
Sure.
They beat USC last week, or a week and a half ago now. Just something to keep an eye on. That's one you maybe check the scoreboard and then you turn the TV on if it's close, or if you just enjoy watching football, then that's a game to watch. Anything on
Yeah.
that?
No, not much. I think Utah is a significantly better team than Washington State. So
They are.
it's a game that I would really like to see Utah go in and blow them out. Utah has almost played with their food a little bit in some instances. Like Utah's a better team than Florida and lost to Florida. Kind of goofed
Mhm.
off and lost to Florida. Um, it's a game that I would really like to see them come in and hammer Washington State. That would make me feel much better about the Utes because they're
Mhm.
probably going to get another crack. Like they could easily get into the Pac-12 championship. Yeah,
Yeah,
you'd like to be feeling confident rolling into them.
right. I should have mentioned Utah is an 8.5 point favorite.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on. Um, Arkansas and Auburn play. Arkansas
They
a
do.
3.5 point favorite. Anything interesting to you about this game?
How? Yes, there's a lot of things interesting. I think this will be a really good game. Like I'm here for both of these teams. I
Okay.
like both of these teams. Like I like Arkansas and I like Auburn, even though neither of them are that great. It's in Auburn, which means that like anything can happen. There's just like kind of that weird thing where it's just God loves Auburn or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, Arkansas favored by 4. Interesting line. I know we'll come back to locks in a minute. Where are you leaning on that? Does that feel a little low to you? That would feel a little low to me.
It feels low to me. I'm thinking about it for the locks, which probably means you should go run and side with Vegas and fade me. But
Okay.
I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking
I'll
about it.
think of, yeah. All right. We'll get back to it.
Yeah. All right. Also at noon on ABC, Notre Dame is at Syracuse. Syracuse a 3 point favorite here.
Mm.
We just saw them have their first loss of the season. Notre Dame had a thoroughly uninspired performance against UNLV last week. Anything here for you? Anything you like about this game or you're looking for?
I think Notre Dame can beat Syracuse. I think they're going to beat them, like straight up. I
Okay.
think they'll win just outright. I know it's in Syracuse at the well, it's not the Carrier Dome, is it anymore? It's the JMA Wireless Dome. Not the
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
been the Carrier Dome for so long, and I used to love watching Syracuse basketball. That was a blast. And yeah, to have that renamed is kind of weird. But no, I think Notre Dame goes there. Notre Dame's more talented. We can agree that, right? Notre
Sure.
Dame has more talent on the field than Syracuse. Yeah, let's. I know you don't have as good of a quarterback. I understand that quarterback's a problem right now for Notre Dame.
Mhm.
Let's. I would be siding with Notre Dame. I think they go and upset the Cuse this weekend.
I hope you're right. I'm staying away from this line for the Locks pod. Um, I'll just be rooting for Notre Dame and probably pulling my hair out multiple times. So
Okay. I like
it feels like that type of game.
it. Okay.
All right, the big noon game on Fox is Ohio State at Penn State. Ohio State is a 15.5 point favorite. Coming off that, excuse me, big win over Iowa. Penn State had a pretty good year before getting trounced by Michigan. I don't know. Is there any chance Penn State can bounce back and like pull out all the stops and play their best game of the year and make this a close game with Ohio State?
Penn State would be the side for me. Like I
Okay.
would be I would be betting Penn State. I know I lost betting against Ohio State last year. I mean last week. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I would be undeterred. I'm not saying I'm going to put this in as one of my locks. I Penn State would be the side that I would be going on just to cover 15 and a half. It's a big number. That's a large number. And you're at home. Penn State has a home field advantage, by the way. That place will be rocking.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would be with the Nittany Lions. I think maybe a little bit of an overreaction from the Michigan score. I know they got hammered by Michigan, a little bit of an overreaction. I think they
Mm-hmm.
come back and keep it close with Ohio State. I think Ohio State wins.
All right. Oklahoma is at Iowa State. I throw this in there just because it's a Big 12 game, and every Big 12 game is close and fun and crazy this year. Do you have a lean on this game at all?
No, not at all. Just stay away. Stay away. Just run away. How about you?
No, I think. Okay, so somebody has to be.
Dude,
Go ahead.
Oklahoma doesn't beat Iowa State when Oklahoma's good. Like in years, Oklahoma loses to Iowa State when Oklahoma's a playoff team sometimes. Like Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield, they lose to Iowa State anyway. And this is at Ames, Iowa. Like, no. Don't bet on this. There's no reason.
Yeah, Oklahoma, the 1.5 point favorite. Somebody has to be the worst team in the Big 12.
Okay.
And it might be Iowa State is what I was going to say. It might be West Virginia.
No.
Who else could it be? It's got to be one of those two, right?
Yeah.
But you could so easily see Iowa State beat Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's right. Iowa State plays TCU the last game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Iowa State is probably going to be, let's just say they are the worst team in the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
They have a real shot at beating the Horned Frogs.
Absolutely.
the last week of the year.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Never underestimate that coaching staff.
Just throwing this game out there because you need something to watch during commercials of the noon game you want to watch, and this game will be stupid. It'll just be exciting and fun and whatever because it's guaranteed to be that way.
All right.
Let's see here. TCU is at West Virginia. TCU is 7-point favorite. Speaking of Big 12 games that are just weird, would it shock you at all if West Virginia comes off a blowout loss to Texas Tech and then beats TCU?
No, none at all. That's exactly what we talked about last week. JT Daniels still playing for West Virginia. That means they have a puncher's chance. This is a home game for them in Morgantown. Yeah, enjoy these games. Just enjoy these games. Actually, a sneaky good noon slate. Ohio State, Penn State, TCU, West Virginia, Notre Dame, Syracuse, Arkansas, Auburn, which I think will be just bonkers. I think that's a good game. And then Oklahoma, Iowa State. These are good football games. Like these are going to be a bunch of entertaining football games there in the noon slate. Not going to be talked about so much, but entertaining.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the next slate, the afternoon slate. You have Florida and Georgia in Jacksonville, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party.
Yeah.
Georgia, a 21.5-point favorite. How do you feel about this game? You're the resident Georgia fan. What are you looking for in this game?
It'd be really nice to have some consistency from the defense and the offense. Just consistency. That's all I really want. We had a couple of blips on the radar, and then some super, super impressive games. Like you had the South Carolina game, which is a blowout. South Carolina's actually pretty good. Oregon game, blowout. Oregon's a good football team. You hammer Vanderbilt, 55-0. And then Missouri's 26-22, and you could have lost that game. Kent State, you weren't impressive against. Consistency. Come out and be consistent. This is the game before the Tennessee game. Georgia's looking ahead to Tennessee. There's no doubt. That's a 1-3 matchup. That's next week. Go ahead and take care of Florida this week. Just take care of business. No one's asking for a blowout. No one wants 55-0. Let's come out and take care of business. And even if the score is not just huge, be in control the whole time. Be in control. Slow down Anthony Richardson and stay in control of just the game flow overall. That's kind of all I want. I know they're looking ahead already. I want to see some consistency from the both offense and defense.
Sure. Okay, let's move on. Maybe the ugliest game of the week, the worst possible football you could imagine. We have Northwestern at Iowa. Iowa, a 10.5-point favorite. We've talked already at length about Iowa's horrendous offense. Ashton, can you tell me how many wins Northwestern has in the United States this year?
Zero.
They beat Nebraska in Ireland to start the year in week 0. We all watched it. Northwestern has not won a game since then. They are like Iowa, except they're not good at defense either. It's just all bad. So I just put this game out there. Maybe for like if you're the type of person who you have to watch the train wreck, this is the train wreck game right here.
It's nationally televised. It's on ESPN too. That's so bad, dude. Oh, I don't even have words. Like how someone in an office somewhere decided, you know what? We're going to put Iowa Northwestern on national TV at 3:30 on a Saturday on ESPN2. Like, and they thought it was a good idea. Someone actually thought that was a good idea. So that makes me feel better about my personal life, I guess, my decision making and such. But no, these two teams are terrible. Did you know? Oh, okay, Ryan Helensky for Northwestern and Spencer Petras for Iowa. Now we don't know if those will be the starting quarterbacks this year, but they are their current passing leaders for the year. Combined total of how many touchdowns? Just 8. 8 total touchdowns this year. They have 11 total interceptions. It's really bad. Spencer Petras has not thrown for 1,000 yards yet to date. It's been really ugly. I feel bad for the good players that play on these teams, like, because there are a few. Jack Campbell's actually a good player. Sam Laporta for Iowa, the tight end, he's actually a good football player. He really is. And if he could play for like USC, like that dude would put up some numbers. But instead he plays for Iowa. I don't know. I feel bad. If you watch this game, you deserve what you get. You deserve every bit of it. That's your fault. That's it. You could have been fooled by him last week or whatever. It's a poor life choice if you choose to watch this game. That's on you. No one else.
Yep. All right, let's move on to more pleasant football. We have Oklahoma State at Kansas State. Kansas State is a 1.5-point favorite here. Yet another Big 12 game that could go any direction. What are you looking for? What do you expect to happen in this game?
Again, Big 12, no one knows. We do not know. If you say you know, you're not exactly sure. Kansas State is favored in this game. Does that make sense? It absolutely does not. That Oklahoma State has been very impressive this year. Kansas State with a quarterback that's hurt. Like, it's in Kansas. This seems like Oklahoma by 8 points is kind of where I would maybe be thinking. But no, we have Kansas State by 1.5. Hey, locks pod in a minute. We'll get to our locks section in just a little bit.
That's right. Okay. Illinois at Nebraska. I mentioned this. Illinois is in position to win the Big Ten West. They're already bowl eligible at 6-1. Their one loss was to Indiana, which leads to the question, like, there's absolutely a chance they can lose to Nebraska, right?
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. Illinois.
Go ahead.
No, they're an 8-point favorite. This is in Lincoln. At least that's what I'm looking at. This is 3:30 game on ABC. Illinois is not terrific. They're not a great team, but like the Brett Bielema teams, they were never flashy. That wasn't them. They're physical. They're going to run the ball well, or at least try to run the ball well, and they're going to play pretty solid defense. And that's kind of what Illinois has done. They're the better team. They should win. Does that mean they will? No. That does not mean that they will. That does not mean that they will. But Illinois doesn't have much left on their schedule, really. Like, I mean, they have a trip to Michigan, but yeah, other than that, like, Illinois could go 10-2. Like, that's a real possibility for the Fighting Illini. So yeah, I don't think I'd be pulling the trigger on this. I'd probably just stay away from it from a betting standpoint. Illinois, impressive though, overall. Yeah.
Just really quick, Wake Forest is at Louisville this week. Wake Forest, a 4.5-point favorite. I mention it because they're ranked, they're 6-1, and it feels kind of like the ACC's version of a Big 12 game where anything could happen. You wouldn't be shocked by anything. Is that accurate?
Yeah, pretty much. It's funny how, like, we get into a year and you have a pretty good feel for certain teams. Like, like you really do. You feel like you know what certain teams are, and then there's certain teams you have no idea. Like, from week to week, they vary so much. And Louisville is one of those teams where, like, they could be really, really good, or they could get beat by 4 touchdowns, and we're not really sure.
Yeah. Okay, Cincinnati's at UCF. This game is kind of weird. It's a pick 'em in some places. Either team is favored by 1 in other places. It feels like Cincinnati would be the play here, correct?
That's where I would lean. Yeah, I would lean Cincinnati. Like, overall, more depth, and I think the playoff experience, especially when you're playing a team like UCF, like the big game experience that the Bearcats have, in some of these coin flip games, you kind of lean on that experience to put you over the top.
Sure. Let's see here. Kentucky at Tennessee. This is a big matchup. Obviously, Tennessee 12.5 point favorite. Um, there's every chance in the world that Kentucky just uglies this game up, right?
So we mentioned Georgia looking ahead to Tennessee. I think Tennessee's looking ahead to Georgia. Florida and Kentucky just happen to be sitting in front of those teams just before their big game.
Right.
It's every chance in the world that this is like a little trap game. Like it really is. Kentucky's well coached. Kentucky's really well coached. So
True.
Kentucky's 19 in the nation right now. Tennessee at number 3. I don't think it's going to get the proper billing, maybe because everyone's looking ahead to the week after. Everyone's just assuming that Tennessee's going to win. No, I kind of like Kentucky at 12.5. I would probably be leaning Kentucky to keep it fairly close, maybe lose by 10, something like that. I think they can ball control Tennessee a bit and slow the game down. Yeah, I kind of like Kentucky in this setup right here.
Okay. Baylor is at Texas Tech, another Big 12 game. Texas Tech makes no sense to me. They're maybe the most Big 12 of all the Big 12 teams. We just saw them absolutely sit on West Virginia last week after they also beat Texas earlier this year, but they also have 3 losses. So I throw this in there, maybe not because it's all that terribly interesting from a national perspective, but it's a Big 12 game. Texas Tech favored by 3 against Baylor, which is kind of surprising, but also I get it. What do you think about this game? Is this game on your radar at all?
Well, this is another game that's on ESPN2. This one's at 7:30, so you get right off the Northwestern Iowa game. You go right into Baylor, Texas Tech. If you stay on that same channel, again, feeling really sorry for the people that made poor life choices to stay there on ESPN2. I feel bad for ESPN2. Let's just say ESPN2 is the loser of this week in college football. I don't, as far as the game goes, don't have much of a feel. Like both of these teams can be really good and can be kind of bad at times. Baylor lost to BYU, and that loss looks, worse by the day. So Texas Tech, you mentioned, looks really good against Texas. They lose to NC State, lose to Kansas State and Oklahoma. I guess they lost to fairly decent teams, I guess. I don't know. Where you have any lean? I know you bet against Texas Tech last week.
Yeah,
one of your locks.
I'm staying away from this.
Okay,
it's a Big 12 game. Yeah, not that I won't ever bet on a Big 12 game. Sometimes I have a feeling about it, but this one I have no feeling. So let's move on. Michigan State at Michigan. Huge rivalry game. Michigan has looked excellent this year. Michigan State has decidedly not looked excellent this year. Michigan a 21.5 point favorite. Now, we should remind everybody that last year Michigan was a big favorite as well, and they lost to Michigan State. They only lost the regular season. Any chance we get a repeat? Because it seems like Michigan State always finds a way against Michigan. It just more often than not, they win this game. Michigan a 3-touchdown favorite. I should mention on the money line, we don't really do money lines, but Michigan State is plus 1160. So that would be a little spicy to me. That says that they would have they're 12-1 essentially to win this game outright, which feels wildly high. I do think Michigan is like the side as far as winning. With the spread, I have no idea. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, we talk about Michigan as a playoff team. We talk about them as a Big Ten champ from last year. They were a Big Ten champ from last year, but they still lost to Michigan State last year. Michigan they've not consistently beaten Michigan State in a while. They need just to go ahead, start a new trend. They have to win. I think they need to win and win convincingly. They need to establish because this is a rivalry game. They do need to establish who's the dominant one, because Michigan's definitely a better football team. No one's going to argue that.
Right.
But does Mel Tucker get the Spartans up for when it kind of a throw out the records type of game where you get a game close, you're running the ball, taking care of it and playing good defense, get a game close, third, fourth quarter, and then watch Michigan's confidence kind of shatter a little bit. I could see that happening and sprinkle a couple bucks on the Michigan State money line. That's not a bad place to put a couple of dollars.
Sure. Okay. Ole Miss is at Texas A&M. Ole Miss a 2.5-point favorite coming off their first loss of the year. I will also say they haven't exactly won a bunch of really impressive games this year. They beat Kentucky. That's good. A&M in the pit of despair right now. um, interesting.
You're enjoying this too much.
I know it's bad. I'm sorry. Interesting contrast of styles here. It does feel like Ole Miss has not played offense quite as well as maybe we would expect this season.
Okay.
That's relative.
Yeah.
Texas A&M fans would kill for Ole Miss's offense. What do you think about this game specifically?
If Texas A&M had Lane Kiffin as their offensive coordinator, they would win the national championship next year. Like, I would bet on them to win it next year.
Yeah.
With the talent they have. Now, it'll never happen. Yeah, Jimbo and Lane, they seem to be about as different as you can possibly be, even though they're both actually Saban disciples. So yeah, go figure that one out. They come from the same coaching tree, I guess. Did you know that A&M has lost 3 in a row? I didn't know that. They've lost 3 in a row. They haven't scored more than 24 points against a Power 5 team this year. Yeah, I like Ole Miss. I like Ole Miss to win. I like Ole Miss to cover. I think that's offense. The offense is at least capable.
Mm-hmm. Okay, one matchup in the ACC that's semi-interesting. Pittsburgh is at North Carolina. North Carolina looks to be the clear favorite in the Coastal. I think preseason we would have thought this was like for the division. I guess there's still that chance. North Carolina, a 3.5-point favorite. What are you looking for in this game?
I'd like Pitt to bounce back and score more than 10 points like they did last week against Louisville, who is not great. Louisville's not great. Pitt can run the ball. Like, I think they can actually. There's a world where Pitt runs all over North Carolina because North Carolina doesn't have a very good defense. But yeah, North Carolina overall has been the better football team over the course of the year. Drake May has been really, really good. We're going to talk about touchdown to interception ratio. Drake May 24-3 touchdown to interception ratio. That's really, really good. That guy, like, I think he's going to be good for a long time. I think he's that kind of special NFL type quarterback.
Sure.